welcome all. Today we've got a special guest, Sam from Peak Insight. He's going to demonstrate and talk about and demonstrate the Peak Wallboard, which has just been amazing for us because it adds a whole new dimension to Webex calling queues, which I'm going to show you as well. So let's get cracking. My name's Eric Smith. I'm the Webex calling guy, and this is all about Webex calling, your communications in the cloud. All right, here we go. So what is Webex calling? It's a cloud PBX, right? It is a PBX as you would expect a PBX to be if you had it on site. You know, busy lamp fields, hunt groups, you know, all that terminology that you are used to. We're not talking about something that's built, recently and is completely different to what you would expect in a PBX. You know, what we're talking about here is we can have handsets on desk with flashing green lights, but we can also have all of the latest cloud capabilities like soft clients, you know, mobile integration, all of that as well. So we're kind of combining some of the stuff that, you know, that we used to love with our legacy PBXs, like call parks, for example. They're an absolute must if you've got people sitting next to each other in a reception front desk, or you've got front office, back office people moving calls around, for example. You know, a lot of the latest software-based systems in market at the moment, they just don't support that. So it makes it really difficult to move calls around. So Webex calling has been around for about 20 years. It's been evolving over those 20 years. You may have heard of Broadworks. That's the platform itself, and BroadSoft was the company. Cisco acquired us about 2.5 years ago. And what Broadworks is and what Webex calling is a carrier grade PBX in the cloud. And I say carrier grade because there's around 30 million ends deployed globally, and in Australia alone, there's about 3.5 million business users, not retail, business users, not consumer, I should say, on the platform, on the Broadworks platform. And your favorite carriers, most of them in Australia and globally, run Broadworks at the back end. So now you've got an understanding where Webex calling come from. It's not fresh off the code floor. It's not brand new. It's evolved. It's carrier grade, and it's available from Cisco. So I'm just going to. I've got literally 5 slides, right? So don't panic. One of the things that customers ask me is, look, that's great, but what about Microsoft Teams, or what about Slack, or what about third-party applications? You know, what about APIs? I'm going to touch on those in a minute. That has not stopped us at all. In fact, a lot of our customers in Australia are using Webex calling with Microsoft Teams today. And in fact, you know, we've been having a great run with that. We don't mind if you're running Microsoft Teams. That said, we would love customers to have a look at the all-new Webex app, which we've only just launched last week, because it's filled some gaps and allowed us to, you know, create a desktop experience, an integrated desktop experience that rivals Microsoft Teams. So definitely happy if you stay on Microsoft Teams. We can integrate calling with that. We can click to call, no problem at all. Customers are using it. It's all good. But we would love you to look at the Webex app as well. And this is the Webex app, just to give you a sneak preview. It has everything you can imagine. And look, I was looking at we were looking at some fundamental stuff only this week. Things like, you know, how, you know, the Webex app, or Webex Teams as it used to be called, integrates, for example, with Microsoft, integrates with OneDrive and SharePoint. And it is absolutely awesome. So you really need to have a look at it, but you don't have to. You can stick with Microsoft Teams. That's okay. Now, I wanted to touch on this. I'm not going to talk about APIs, but I'm going to mention the fact that Webex calling has an API strategy, and it does have APIs available. And in fact, Sam from Peak is going to talk about the Peak Wallboard, which their organization has developed and in fact has in market at the moment. And it's actually helped us, you know, with Peak's help, to deliver some fantastic outcomes for some of our largest customers, which is great. And it's powered by this API, this Webex calling API. You know, we've demonstrated Webex calling with, you know, Salesforce, with, Dynamics, with Zendesk, with all sorts of applications. So integration is not a problem. And in fact, what Peak have done is taken that a whole step further, and that is to develop an actual wallboard off the back of our queues. I wanted to just mention also, before I show you show you Webex Calling, mention the architecture. Now, I know this is an architecture slide. Yes, I'm a propeller head. I can't help it. I have to show you an architecture slide, right? Now, the reason I'm showing you this is because it's part of the power of Webex Calling. It is so flexible. Imagine the PBX itself, the actual engine is up in the cloud, but the PSTN can come from anywhere. It can come directly from a carrier. So that's where the everything's cloud. You're integrated with a carrier directly, or you can integrate with your current SIP trunk whilst your current PBX is in play. And what that means is that you can migrate to the cloud with zero risk. Zero, because it means that you can run them in parallel until you're happy, run the two together. Once you're happy, then turn off the PBX, whether it's an Avaya, whether it's a Mitel, whether it's an old Ericsson MD110, we'll tap into your current PSTN, peel off those numbers up into the cloud. When all of the users are happy, turn off the PBX, and then move the numbers up in the cloud if you wish, right? Lots and lots of flexibility. So now on to the good stuff. What we're seeing here is Control Hub. Control Hub is that single pane of glass, or is a single pane of glass, where everything Cisco collaboration lives, right? Provisioning, user management, device management, analytics, reporting, all of that stuff all lives inside Control Hub. I'm going to rip through this. If you want to see more, or you want to dive in and get into some detail, please, reach out to us or your partner, or you are the partner in this case. So user management, it's pretty straightforward. It's Active Directory integrated, of course, directly with Azure or on-prem directory. The usual stuff that you would imagine you can do when I click on a user, like see what phone has, or phones in this case. This guy David's got a couple of phones. He's got one at home and one at work. That's okay. And the usual stuff that you could manage for a user, like your voicemail to email settings, your phone number or extension. Maybe you'll want to turn call recording on in the cloud for this user. Call recording is an option, and it is available on Webex Calling as well. Maybe David's a PA and he has some executives to look after. There's a solution for that. Or maybe he's a receptionist and I need to provision the reception console for David. So this is all your usual stuff. What's an interesting one, since we're talking about queues and call centers, is barge in. Barge in allows David to tap on his keyboard and whether he's in Webex or Microsoft Teams, and say, hey, I'm having a problem. I've got a problem caller, supervisor. Can you tap into this call? And that supervisor, who could be in another state working from home, could actually connect into that existing call, could barge into that call and help out David, who's a newbie a newbie agent, maybe on a help desk, right? So this is so I'm just giving you a sneak peek into a couple of the features which are pretty cool. Device management, as you can imagine, device management is all inside the same portal, whether it's desk phones, headsets, Bluetooth headsets, huddle room devices, executive devices. They're all here. They're all manageable. I can see whether devices are online or offline. Even headsets. I can manage firmware, and more you're going to see more analytics around these devices as well. I mean, headsets are so important, people. Yes, you may not have Cisco headsets. Maybe you've got another brand. If you're going to deploy a solution with headsets, deploy the management software. Trust me, because that last meter between the laptop or the phone and the person's ear is just as important as the network, the solution, everything. As far as a user is concerned, if the headset's crackly or not working, then the whole solution's not working. So please, don't underestimate the power of headset management. And of course, I can deploy desk phones and software, and I can do, for example, deploy desk phones. I don't need to stage. I can ship them straight from the manufacturer, straight from Cisco, or unpacked. Don't need to stage. Very, very simple. The cool stuff. Now, you know how I mentioned the architecture earlier. I just wanted to give you an example of this flexibility. Let's say in Adelaide, where we're deploying a bunch of services around the world. Look, I've got some New Zealand. I've got New Zealand in here, which is of course another state of Australia, as some may think. No, I might offend someone. I shouldn't say that, should I, Jacob? So in this case, Adelaide are connected directly to the cloud connected PSTN. So M&F are MyNet Phone are providing direct cloud connectivity via geo-redundant links into the cloud. No infrastructure or anything required on site. But our friends at the Bondi office, who are very particular and they're special, right? Bondi people are special. We all know that, right? The guys at Bondi, or the team at Bondi, have said, no, we don't want to go full cloud. We want to keep using our SIP trunk from our local provider because they're just as cool as us. And that's okay. We can leave them on local gateway. And so the reason I'm showing you this is that, I might have a SIP trunk for Bondi and cloud connected for the rest of the offices, and New Zealand might be with another provider. Lots and lots of flexibility. The PBX is still up in the cloud, and yet I've got all this flexibility on the way I connect to the PSTN, and I can change that around any time as well, which is pretty cool. Now, some of the cool group features. Auto attendants, IVRs, where you press 1 and 2 when you dial in. IVRs are so simple. They're included for free in Webex Calling, and they're so simple to manage. When I talk to customers about, IVRs, they go, oh yeah, okay, well, we've got an IVR, yeah, we outsource that. We send an email off to a group, and they take 2 weeks to come back, and they'll modify it for us. Or we have to bring in specialists to do green screen command line work on our PBX. I never hear stories about how simple IVRs are. Have a look at this, right? So this IVR, what we're calling an auto attendant, I can apply a phone number and extension. I've got business hours, after hours, and holiday schedules that I can manage, which is great. Now I need to modify the menu or build a new one. When they press 1, go to this number. When they press 2, go here. When they press 4, go to this mobile number, or this mobile number on 5. I simply type this in and click save, and I've now modified the auto attendant. Honestly, people, it does not get any simpler than this. You could have anyone in the business looking after modifying and keeping auto attendants up to date. And then when I need to update the greeting, you either outsource the voice to someone like me with my dulcet tones, I wish, or just simply hit record and start talking, or attach a WAV file. So what I'm showing you here is that you can build or modify an auto attendant in minutes and in real time. It's all cloud orchestrated as well. And that's the same for all of these features here. Call parks are really cool. Call parks are back in vogue because, with the advent of cloud PBXs, call parks for some platforms have gone away. But if you've got 3 or 4 people sitting near each other at a front desk in a, let's say in a GP's doctor's office or in a retail environment, or you've got folks in the front and the back office in a front office, back office environment, how do you very easily and quickly move calls around? Do you find out who's going to take the call and then come back to your phone and then pick up the call and then transfer and put in the extension number and all this sort of stuff? Because that's the way you have to do it generally in a cloud PBX. What Call Park means is that I can reach over to my phone and hit one button, or on my soft client, and park that call, and then yell out or group page out to up to 75 phones or email or what have you, saying, hey, there's a call for Mac computers on Call Park 2, and anyone in the building, or in fact, potentially globally, who's got those call parks as flashing little lights on their phone, will look down on their phone, they'll walk up to any phone and go hit a single button and pick up that call park. Don't underestimate the power of call flow. Customers need these types of solutions to operate their businesses, and we know that for a fact. Call queues. Call queues are what we're going to talk about with the Wallboard as well, which is call queue what we're calling a call queue is in fact a basic call center. Now, we don't want to transform a contact center. Call queues are a basic call center, okay? So, think about a hunt group. Call comes in, I distribute the call to 4 people. If those 4 people are on the phone in that hunt group today, in a normal hunt group, and a 5th caller comes in, so there's 4 on the phone, everyone's busy, another call comes in, the hunt group's busy. So what do? You divert off to message or to reception. Hey, that'll work. But does that really provide the best customer satisfaction for those people calling that distribution group, that hunt group? What you can do with a call queue, as you can see, I can provide an extension or a phone number for that call queue, is you can actually queue the calls up in the cloud. So when those 4 people are on the phone and I've got that 5th call coming in, and you know that with those 4 people on the phone, within 30 or 40 seconds, one of them will be off the phone on average. So why divert the phone off to message bank? Why send it to reception? Why lose that customer opportunity? Why not queue the call up in the cloud, and then when one of those 4 people get off the phone, the call will get put through. And while that person's waiting for that call, while it's sitting in the queue, why not play some custom hold music, right? Why not give them a comfort message every 10, 20 seconds saying, hey, we haven't forgotten about you. Don't go away. We value your business. And when they come into the queue, if you've got 4 people taking calls for Ford, Holden, rest in peace, and Mitsubishi, and it's the same 4 salespeople, why send the call through to straight, why use a hunt group, send the call through, and they go, hi, Acme, Motors. Oh, well, I'm interested in a Ford. Oh, okay. Well, actually, Bob over there, he's really the Ford guy, right? Why do it that way? Why not have an IVR? Press 1 for Holden, 2 for Ford, 3 for Mitsubishi. And then when they hit that particular queue for Ford, for example, have a dedicated welcome message. Why not make it mandatory? Hey, thanks for calling the Ford sales line. Did you know that you can register online for this? Or there's a recall on airbags, or if it's a GP studio, register for, why not do your bookings with Health Engine, putting your call through now? So you can do things like that, right? And this is all about improving customer sat, providing an experience for your callers that's going to improve your business. That's what call queues are all about. You might say, okay, well, it's a basic call center. How many calls can I queue? How many agents can I have? I can queue up to 50 and I can have up to 1,000 agents. This is not by no means small, right? But that doesn't mean you have to do that, right? Most customers might have, 10 or 20 people taking calls maybe on a particular call queue. They might have a queue depth of 5. And with the call routing, they might wait the calls. If it's Ford, if this queue's the Ford hotline, I might find that, well, Jacob here, he's a shocker on Ford, but he is the Holden man. So if anybody rings the Ford line, Eric is the Ford gun. I own a Ranger, so that was just a pure coincidence, by the way. Because I used to be a Holden man. So Eric's the Ford guy. So if he's off the phone, put the call through to Eric, right? But the last person we want the call through to get through is Jacob. But we'll reverse it. If someone calls, if this is the Holden queue, we would have this in the different order, right? We might have Jacob as, if he's off the phone. So this is weighted calling. This is skills-based routing. I know I'm explaining it to the nth, but I want you to understand that this is all about your organization doing more with those calls, putting a bit of intelligence in, and actually winning that business, or simply providing better customer stat. This could be an IT help desk, right? It doesn't matter how small or big it is. This makes a difference. Of course, you can move the calls around. Longest idle, Jacob hasn't had a call for a while. Next call goes through to Jacob. And then when it comes to agents, adding people into this queue, this enhanced hunt group, what licensing do you think I need? What do I need to do? Geez, I need to buy more licenses. No, they're completely free. You can add the agents. Just keep adding people. I'm going to add now Chu from Melbourne, Ray, maybe someone from the New Zealand office. I think I've added both the New Zealand. Oh, no, Peter's not. Yep, no, I've added someone from New Zealand. I'm going to add someone from Adelaide, Gemma. Do I need to tell anybody from Cisco? Do I need to, buy more licenses? No, this is all completely free. You can add as many as you like. There are some limits, of course. If you have weighted, it's 100. If you don't have weighted, it's 1,000. You'll notice here that some of my users only have extensions. So Lucy and Quinn here, they might be part, let's say this is a HR help desk. If anybody from HR call out, I might want to present a caller ID, a shared caller ID for the HR department, because I don't want, if a call comes back, I want the call to come into a queue, right? To be shared, to be distributed in a queue. And no, they don't have to log into the queue. There was a question there from Dominic. Great question. They don't have to log into the queue. This is a basic call center. They will be in the queue by default, but they can actually make themselves unavailable, Dominic. So via the soft client, and we are actually adding this to the phones as well. It's in the pipe. It's in the roadmap where we'll have a button for agent unavailable or available on the phones as well. So that means they can still get direct calls, but not calls from the queue. So that was a good question, Dominic. So notice here, these people have got this extensions. That means when we provision users in Webex Calling, we can provision them with a shared caller ID. It might be for the main office. It might be for an inbound hunt group or queue. And that means you don't have to allocate phone numbers to users. You can deploy them with just extensions if you want. So that's the reason I wanted to show you that. And as you can see in this particular queue, I've got people from Adelaide, from New Zealand, from Sydney, from Melbourne, Brisbane. I've got them all over the place, right? So this is a pretty big queue. Now, reporting, this is the cool stuff. Now, Sam's going to blow your socks off on things like the Wallboard and the reporting, but I just wanted to show you, if I was having a closer look at this queue, I found that there was a problem. There's the reporting, the basic reporting that maybe, and I'll show you this later, is there, but maybe I want to look at a bit more detail about what's going on in this queue. What sort of stuff can I look at, right? So for the queue, I can look at busy overflows, calls abandoned, average abandon time. Average abandon time, I mean, this info is really the key stuff, right? If I get calls abandoned, and I get quite a few of them, and my average abandon time, I was out with a customer the other day, and their average abandon time was almost 3 minutes. And so I looked at the customer, and he's saying, "Oh, I'm losing, there's something wrong. I'm losing calls." I'm going, "Yeah, well, if you were on the phone for 3 minutes waiting for somebody, wouldn't you hang up, right?" So clearly you either haven't got enough agents, they don't like the whole music, they don't like the comfort message, right? Or there may be some other reason, but this is critical business intelligence. How many calls answered? And then if I look at agent stats, I can see, that, how many calls Quinn has taken, and staffed time, and average call time, etc. Calls handled, average hold time, etc. Talk time. So the key data is here, right? But the reason why we're going to show you the Wallboard today is, how do you get that in a really, really efficient way in front of folks? Of course, we support hunt groups, paging groups I mentioned earlier. I'm going to show you the reception client in a minute. I want to talk about virtual extensions. This is really cool. If you've got a PBX, and in this case, a cloud PBX, and you've got customers or vendors, or, you're dealing with people externally, but you want them to be known by the organization, but you don't necessarily want to put them in your Active Directory, for example, because that could be a way to do it, right? In this case, each location, or at the org level, I can upload via Excel spreadsheet. I can upload up to 1,000 per org, or separately per location. I can upload an address book. So in this case, it's a doctor's GP clinic, and I've put in Dr. Bob Brown. I've put his mobile number in, and I've made up an extension number. What does that mean? When Dr. Bob rings anybody in the organization now, when he rings in, his name, or whatever name I put in that first name, last name, could be Dr. Bob, VIP customer, or it could be, a supplier, or a mechanic or a contractor, right? Their name will come up on the physical phone, on the soft client, on your mobile. It'll come up everywhere, right? That name will come up. An interesting one, I had a school the other day, and they were very excited because for outbound calls, they could publish an address book internally that just had an extension number. So Dr. Bob is on 7611 if you need to contact Dr. Bob, right? Again, Dr. Bob could be customer, vendor, whatever. And so that means that from a privacy perspective, I don't have to publish an address book with Dr. Bob's mobile number for everybody to see. That creates privacy. I can still call him, but I don't need to know his phone number. And I think that's brilliant because that actually helps with privacy, right? So it's interesting what customers latch onto. And this was a school and they had VIP parents and privacy was a big, big thing for them. And they just absolutely love this, right? So, and in fact, so do the GPs as well. A little bit on reporting, and then I'm going to dazzle you with the reception console. And I've got 2 minutes to do it because I'm going to put you on, Sam, right on time. I'm sure of it. At least okay. I'm hoping. At least I'm hoping. I'm sure of it. Right. On reporting, we've of course got the usual reporting, right? CDR reports, this is basically all the data records. I'm not going to show you that. That's pretty straightforward. But this is pretty cool. We actually have auto attendant reporting. If you've got an auto attendant, i.e., you've got calls coming in on your main number and people press 1 for sales and 2 for service. And yeah, maybe you've got a queue and you gather some stats. But, what about if, you want to know how many people are pressing nothing? So they're coming, this is the main inbound number. Who wouldn't want a report on your inbound? In this case, during business hours, that's what the B is for. And we're calling this the booking line. I did this for a GP clinic recently. 1B, 19 people pressed 1, 1 people pressed 2, happened to be pathology. No people pressed 3 for COVID. Hooray, no one's interested in that anymore. People pressed 4 for my mobile number. Don't know why. I thought I was more popular than that. But the good thing is you get that selection, that no selection count as well, right? So again, customers really, really want to see this, right? They go, yes, you're right. I need this information. This is business intelligence. And we do have a queue report as well. I wanted to show you. So we talked about the queues and I showed you that detailed information earlier. There is another report here. And what it's going to give you is just that real key information that, and when I show this to customers, they go, actually, 90% of customers say, actually, this is all I really need, right? For this queue, what's my average hold time, my average call time, calls abandoned, average abandoned time, and how many calls came through? Key data, right? So it's all there. And last on Control Hub quickly, we do have lots of reports, even showing call quality over a period of time. So I can run threshold reports. I can look down, find a phone call that happened 2 weeks ago or 6 months ago and look at how much packet loss there was, et cetera, et cetera. So we've got lots and lots of great info there. And last but not least, this reception console is also included in Webex Calling. It's completely free. Go away, contact center there. It's completely free. The receptionist can drag and drop calls, has visibility of the queues. So when calls come in, the reception, this person on this console can see those calls coming in, can pull them out of the queues and retrieve those calls. Like I said, can drag and drop, can see busy lamp, i.e. whether people are on the phone or not, for everyone in the organization. This is absolute visibility and it is completely free and included. You can have as many of these deployed as you like. So I'm going to stop there because I've gone 1 minute over and I'm going to pass the ball to Sam. And before I do that, I just want to talk about the fact that with Webex Calling, we've had so much great success in talking about and showing customers. Sorry, I'm just going to change the host. Showing customers queues and auto attendants and the reporting. And then Sam came along and added a whole new flavor to what we were offering. And I've got to say, we've won some really, really big business off the back of that. So I really thank you for that. And it's just going ahead in leaps and bounds. So please have a listen. Now, this is not a Cisco product. This is developed, sold, managed by Peak. And what it is effectively is an add-on using APIs. I'm going to stop talking. Over to you, Sam.
Thank you so much, Eric. And good afternoon, everybody. Can you see my screen okay, Eric? Joining from Teams, perfect, awesome,
Yep.
thank you. My name's Sam Deckett. I'm Principal Consultant at Peak Amplify, and really what we're about is strengthening the business value of Cisco investments for customers. We provide software add-ons and development based on, things that we hear from customers, requirements Eric touched on, perhaps some improved reporting, ways that they can get more value from the Cisco platform. That's what we're going to talk to you about today with our Peak Wallboard for Webex Calling product. We've got some capability in a few different verticals, and as Eric mentioned, we've done some large sales recently in the travel industry and a couple of other areas as well, financial services and others. So Peak Wallboard, what's it really about? Well, the value that it adds for customers is enabling them to improve customer experience and business performance. Really what that's about is, out of the box, Webex Calling has some great call queue capabilities. So, as Eric showed you, customers can have an IVR, can have call queues, can distribute calls in the way that they like, all out of the box, all included in the Webex pricing, which is absolutely fantastic. And it meets the needs of a lot of smaller businesses. But if the customer does need some visibility in real time, perhaps some improved reporting to be able to see what's going on and understand what's happening, how many callers are hanging up, how long are they waiting for, etc. It's not quite there from a Webex Calling perspective, and the option is Webex Contact Center, which for a lot of customers can be quite a big jump to go from Webex Calling to Contact Center from a cost and complexity perspective. So that's really where Peak Wallboard for Webex Calling comes in. It really lets agents see what's happening within teams, which has been particularly important during COVID, with people working from home, seeing who's available, who's not, what's their number, etc. Also supervisors to see what their team's up to, and business stakeholders who aren't part of the contact center, but can see what areas of the business, how they're performing, and what sort of customer experience is happening for inbound voice calls to the organization. As a Cisco partner, 75% of deployments out there need some sort of queuing functionality, and the stats show that about 50% of them require reporting of some kind. So there's a real opportunity in the market, and often it's a barrier to selling when customers may have existing PABXs out there that have some of this functionality, and you're positioning Webex Calling, and they want to see something similar. So it can really help get over that barrier to sale. So Peak Wallboard for Webex Calling. And if I'm talking too fast, sorry about that. I've got 10 minutes to go. I'm counting down. I've got the thumbs up from Eric. Peak Wallboard for Webex Calling. Well, it's really about showing real-time visibility of what's happening in the call queues for Webex Calling. We show what's happening in real time for the calls waiting, calls answered, abandoned, the longest call that's currently waiting, the longest call that's been waiting for the day, the agents that are assigned to a queue, and how many are available in a queue currently. So you can really see what's happening as it happens in a web browser, a mobile device, or up on a large TV display on a customer site. So it shows call queue statistics, but it also shows agent statistics. So you can actually see what individuals are doing within a call queue. So we can show the name, the extension, the status within the queue. So whether the actual agents set themselves to available or not ready from the Webex Calling client. But we can also show whether they're actively on a call. Is the call inbound or outbound? What's the number of the person that they're talking to? And if it's an internal call, we actually show the caller ID as well. So really seeing what's happening within the teams using call queues. Finally, what we also show as part of the standard Peak Wallboard product is a 7-day rolling report. Now, that's the homepage when we first log into the tool, and if I get time, I will absolutely show you. But it shows the calls answered, abandoned, transferred, and how many agents were in the queue over the last rolling 7 days. And a feature that we've added that we're quite excited about is now grade of service. So if you're familiar with UCCX, perhaps, you can actually define the percentage of calls that you need to have answered within a certain number of seconds for your business. And we can actually track that and show whether you're hitting the grade of service target or not. And we can do that per call queue, which is often for a business area, which is very useful for contact center type functionality. Now, we're also showing the call handle time and how many calls are handled within the time and what the average handle time is, but also the answer time within 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 90 seconds, and the abandon time, whether we're within 30, 60 or 90 seconds as well. So those real key metrics that customers are asking for. And we've really developed the product based on what we've heard from customers. Here's a quick snapshot of it running in our office, which has unfortunately been empty for a few months during COVID, but there are people getting back in there now, which is great. Just to show you an example of it up and running on an actual physical wallboard. Touching on some of the quick features that we have. So yes, real-time queue and agent data. We do have historical reporting for 7 days in the standard product. We're introducing a historical reporting add-on to actually be able to take that data and go back 12 months. So that's targeted for January 15 at this stage. So stay tuned. That will be another add-on to the product. And I talked about grade of service. We also do thresholds and alerting as well via email now. So you can actually set thresholds for the number of calls waiting in a queue, receive email alerts, those sorts of things. We can also automatically cycle through wallboards for both call queues and for agent views as well. And of course, it's cloud-based, web-based, it's responsive, it's absolutely accessible from mobile devices, tablets, your PC. People working from home in COVID, they can go full screen, they can have it as a smaller window or on large LED displays in the office. So that's really the product at a high level. For those a bit architecturally minded, exactly like Eric described, we are grabbing API stats from Webex Calling, bringing them across automatically, so there's no manual configuration of these bits and pieces that I'm talking about, and then populate it and it's available for display. You can be up and running in 10 minutes once we've got the account that we need to get those permissions there, which is all very exciting. We are in multiple regions around the world. We have a local presence in Australia, so we absolutely comply with data and privacy requirements here in Australia. It's all onshore. And we also have partners. So we've got a partner model. We provide some flexibility. You can either be an affiliate partner where you just refer business to us. We handle the sale, the support, training, everything, and you get a 10% margin on every payment that the customer makes ongoing. So whether or not your business sells Webex Calling or the Wallboard, if you position it, you can get paid for it. There's also a partner model where you actually take on more activity, the sales, the onboarding, the training and support. Of course, we'll give you the materials to do that. And you can actually become a partner, which enables you to have 30% margin. You can either choose to resell that, have it on your own bill as part of your offerings and your products to market, or you can choose to go the commission model. We will handle the billing to the customer and pay you the commission as well, and you'll get that 30% for taking on the extra activity. That's really it for the moment. I'm going to ignore the question slide given the time we've got. I'm going to quickly switch over to the Wallboard itself in the last couple of minutes and just show you a quick login. So customers will receive a site address similar to Webex meetings where it would be sitename.peakamplify.com. In this case, Eric's got a demo.peakamplify.com in Eric's demo environment that he's got there. We're just going to log in as a user here. That's going to come up with the home page that I talked about. Now I'm going to quickly search for the VIP queue because I know Eric's been using that lately. So I just typed in VIP. That automatically comes up. We've got customers with more than 50 queues, so it's very handy to be able to just quickly do a text search. And as I mentioned, you can see the 7-day report that I talked about, where you can see the calls answered, abandoned, transferred, and assigned, agents assigned over the last week. I also talked about a breakdown of calls answered for today. So that's actually the calls answered and within what time they were answered and what the average handle time was for those calls, which customers have been asking for, and that's what we're driving for the features of the product. So Eric's just seeing that now, I think. I can see him reacting there, which is nice. But also calls abandoned, and importantly, in what time frame those calls got abandoned. So customers can very quickly see that. And finally, the really exciting one, grade of service. So as I mentioned, defining a target grade of service, which is 50% in this case, and then the actual grade of service and whether it's been met each day and what's been going on there. So that's what you see on the homepage when you first log into the tool. Separately, the Wallboards view is really where it's about those real-time views. So we've automatically grabbed all of the queues across from Eric's demo environment, and it does that automatically and synchronizes them. You'll see we've got the queue names, the queue statistics here. So this is actually showing how many calls are in the queue across all of these if required, as well as the agents that are currently assigned to those queues. We support the time zones. And we can actually go and edit those queues for grade of service. But given I've got a few minutes to go, I'm going to jump into queue stats, just show you the queue. And actually, I've jumped into the wrong one. We were talking about the VIP one. Again, I'm going to search for VIP, just bring that up and go into queue stats. And you can see the queue stats for the VIP hotline. So calls answered, calls abandoned, longest waiting, etc. that I talked to. We can very easily switch. Oh, we've got a couple of calls waiting already. I think one of my team might be dialing in too. That's all right. No worries. And we can quickly switch across to agent stats as well and see which agents are talking. So I can see Gregory's on an outbound call, so he's not ready and he's talking to the VIP hotline. So you can see we're resolving the name of what he's talking to. I can very quickly go full screen here and go back from full screen, I mentioned to you that it's responsive. So we can auto resize the screen, and that includes mobile devices, tablets, etc. And it will auto adjust the size and adjust the page format and layout. So you can see Eric's on a call there by the looks of it. And you can see there's calls waiting, answered and abandoned going on there. Now, I've only got a few more minutes. I'm quickly just going to show you within each queue just where you can set the grade of service. So you can see you can set the threshold. You can also enable alerts and configure an email address for alerts with the threshold of the calls in queue that you want, and you can suppress it. So you're not constantly going to get alerts. You can actually just stop it for 15 minutes. So you'll only get one alert every 15 minutes, for example. Similar to Webex Calling, we bring across users from Control Hub that are assigned to Webex Calling and that have an extension, etc. assigned. We bring them all across automatically, and then we have role-based assignment on our side too. So, and agents only see what they're assigned to. Supervisors only see what they're assigned to, but can manage their agents. Administrators can see and edit everything. And we just invite users to use the tool. By default, no one's invited. Just like Control Hub, they can get invited across and away they go. The settings option, that's really about setting the queue rotation and the agent rotation. And yeah, look, that's it in a nutshell, and I've got a minute to go. Eric, did you have anything else you wanted to talk about?
Mate, I'm really excited. You've shown me.
Yeah. Sorry?
Every time I look at this, there's new features on there, and I absolutely love it. So thank you so much, Sam. That is absolutely awesome. We'll be showing all of our customers this because, like I said, and Sam said it adds an amazing and valuable dimension to calling. You know, customers want to see what's going on. A lot of customers, businesses still rely on voice. Believe it or not, voice is still important. And you know, these solutions, Webex Calling, and certainly this Wallboard is all about improving customer satisfaction, giving customers business intelligence to make their businesses run better, not lose calls, do more business, be successful. And that's really what we're all about. So thank you very much, Sam. Really, really appreciate it. Thanks for everyone for joining today. We will see you next time. I've got one to go next Thursday, I think it is. Oh no, hang on, is it the 17th today? My God, it's Christmas. Okay, Merry Christmas, everybody. We'll kick these off again in the new year after the 18th of, in the week of the 18th of January. Have a great Christmas and New Year. Be safe. And thanks again for joining. And thanks again, Sam. All right. Bye-bye. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, guys.